you're from Long Island, you're from New York, you end up at South Carolina. And I know, of course, obviously, being a prospect in the game of baseball, it starts so early on. Recruiting starts so early, the showcases, the travel teams, everything that comes with it. Just talk about the recruiting process for you, what that was like, and how a kid from Long Island ended up in Columbia, South Carolina.
I the entire process I thoroughly enjoyed. I spent probably since I was 15 all the way up to my senior year, playing in all these tournaments down south, Georgia, Florida, all these perfect game tournaments to get, recruited, to get scouted by, MLB scouts and everything like that. It was fun. There was no way around it. I enjoyed every experience that I had, from, the perfect game tournaments, playing with Team USA, and all the amazing talent, all the great guys that I met along, my journey.
How tough was it? I'm curious. How tough was it as a baseball player in New York to stay sharp, I guess? Because, obviously you can't play really for like 4 months out of the year or something like that.
Yeah.
And you think of versus Florida, where you're just easily playing year round. And obviously that's, I would say, probably one of the reasons the baseball talent down there and in Texas and even South Carolina, Georgia, it's so elite, is you're just playing nonstop. And for you guys, and I know there's it's possible, but there's challenges that come with that, as far as you're having to work out indoors and throw bullpens indoors and do everything indoors for a 4 or 5 month period. It's why you see, and I know you played against them, but you see teams from, the Northeast or whatever, they'll spend 3 weeks down in the Southeast playing, college teams playing, games, on the road. But how challenging, I guess, was that for you growing up, kind of having to deal with that?
To me, it really wasn't challenging, because I was growing up. I always played, obviously, baseball. I played football and basketball as well. Once I got into high school, I stopped playing football, but I continued to play basketball. So during the winter, I was playing basketball. I was working out and stuff like that, but it gave me that break I needed from baseball. Right. And I had this conversation because, I give pitching lessons and stuff like that now throughout the off season. And I had this conversation with a bunch of my younger kids. I'm seeing a trend where a lot of kids are only playing one sport, and it's baseball all year round. And again, that's not a bad thing, but it comes to a point where you're going to drain yourself out. You need that break. You need that kind of that freedom to, be a kid and just do whatever you want to do. Because that's what helped me out. And I thank my parents for that, because they weren't always, baseball. It was, okay, you're going to do this and this, just so I had that break. And when it came time for baseball season, I was physically ready. So that I had no problem with that. Because you see it even down south. There were multiple guys that played football while they were, still playing baseball and stuff like that. So yeah, that didn't bother me at all. But it's true, because they say, colleges down south, or even pro teams, they rather have Northeast pitchers because they're not throwing all year round, blah blah blah. But I get to my age now, right, that I'm just training baseball all off season, and I'm throwing indoors, and I'll tell you right now, it sucks. It's boring as hell. You just this week, it finally decided, get sunny out. We've had snow and everything like that. It got up to, I think, 50 degrees yesterday. So we were throwing outside for the first time in God knows how long. So we always try and take advantage of the opportunities when it's nice out, because obviously no one likes throwing in 20-degree weather.
For sure. And again, I think it's interesting, Matt, when you got recruited, South Carolina was on the greatest run we might ever see in college baseball. Yeah. All the games they won in the postseason consecutively, and win back-to-back national titles, and were damn near close to winning a third straight, and then went to the Super Regionals in 2013. They were a game away from going back to Omaha again. Again, where did South Carolina come into play for you in the recruiting process? And I feel like you get that offer and they're on the run they're on, it'd probably be pretty hard to say no to them.
Yeah, it definitely was, because I remember me and my dad were actually coming back from a trip with Team USA. We were coming back from Mexico, and we had flown into, I believe, Charlotte from Texas. So we just made the drive down. to South Carolina and visited with Coach Holbrook on the field. At that time, he was the recruiting coordinator.
Right.
This was right, but I think the year before he took over, and we're talking, and he like kind of like secretly tried to get me to commit, me not knowing what the hell was going on. At that time I was 15, 16 years old, and my dad pulls me over to the side and says, what the hell are you thinking? Like, do you want to come here? I was like, yeah. And he was like, then tell him you want to come here. Don't act like you don't know what's going on. So right there I committed, and it was just, to me, it was a perfect match. Would I go back and change anything? Probably not. If anything, the only thing I would change I would have gone out of high school. If I knew the stuff that I knew now of just everything going on. But as far as that, I wouldn't change anything.